Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DFW Drum Coach Podcast, episode number 2. I'm your host, Caleb Barnett. Today, I'm joined by Jarrod Glasby. He's a good buddy of mine. He is a guitar player, live sound engineer, producer, songwriter, you name it. In this episode, we talk a lot about the Dallas music industry and working in the studio. I hope you all enjoy. Jarrod.
Hey.
How are you doing, man?
Good.
Thank you for being here.
Good, man. Yeah.
How was the drive?
It was good.
Good.
Longer than I remembered, so that's why I was late. Sorry.
That's all good. You're all the way out in Wiley, is that right?
Yeah.
Dang. Well, I'll shoot you some gas money or something.
No,
I appreciate
it. Just make me famous.
Just make me. I can't make any promises there, but we'll see.
Oh, hey.
Hey, bud.
It's
It's fine.
Love it.
We'll
It's a studio, folks.
Yeah,
People are walking in and out. Business is coming in and out.
That's right. Amen. Business is a booming over here.
That's right.
So, I guess just like, tell me how you got started, man. Like how you got, because you're a guitar player.
Moving to town.
Moving to town.
Like at that point in time.
Yeah, or just
okay.
like, well, how you got started playing guitar and music in general, where you grew up, and then go from there.
I have a very musical family, or had a musical family. My grandpa was a big band drummer growing up, and my grandparents ran the Miss Lawton beauty pageant in Lawton, Oklahoma, which that sounds kind of like backwards, like how many hot chicks are in Lawton, Oklahoma. But there actually are. There's a lot of it's kind of a melting pot place because it's like a military town. But don't ever go there or live there. So I got to be around all that, like all the time. My grandpa was, he was in charge of doing writing out everyone's part for the pit band that he did, because the show, like they had a pit band every time they had, the females up there or whatever. So I always got to be in the pit, and I got to see him like preparing, orchestrating other people's parts and handwriting everything out.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And having musicians come over and pick up their parts, and kind of see that. And, but I didn't play then at all. I was just kind of like there for everything. And I got to go to sweet like dance rehearsals with like future Miss Americas and stuff.
And it was all like jazz, like all
no, not all. Well, yeah, but like it's more like the big band type of thing, not like hardcore jazz or anything.
Gotcha. And this was his pre-finale, like so he had to handwrite.
Yeah, I mean my grandpa was already like 70 something at this point or whatever. Maybe not that old, maybe in his 60s, but so I was there for that. My dad's a bass player, and so that's always kind of been around. And when I was a kid, I didn't really know the difference between electric guitar and bass guitar.
Okay.
And so I think when I was like 10 or 12, I saw Smooth on TV.
Smooth, nice.
With Rob Thomas and Santana, which I'm not a huge Santana fan anymore, but as soon as I saw Santana, I was like, oh. That's cool.
He has been like, I hear that often from a lot of guitar players that he's inspired so many to get started with guitar. And
then later, I don't really I appreciate him, but I'm not a huge fan anymore.
Sure.
But anyway, and then fast forward, I ended up moving to Texas whenever I was like 10 or maybe 11. And then for my 12th birthday, my dad got me a guitar kit, an Ibanez starter kit.
Nice. Was it an Ibanez Geo?
It was a Geo.
Dude, I had a
black
Geo.
And white Geo.
I had a red one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's so funny.
So I'm sorry to go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah. I remember selling it to this girl in high school and then like taking it back from her after she paid me for it like a year later because she was just sitting in her room.
Oh, wow.
It's like, I'm just going to take this
Well, that was
back.
nice of her to just give it back to you.
I didn't ask.
I just went over there. Hey, I need my guitar back.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I lived in the country like during middle school and all those, those first 4 to 6 years. And so I didn't have anything to do but just like shed, you know? And that's all I wanted to do. I just became kind of obsessed with it. I'm sure just like a lot of people, it's kind of like everyone's like out from reality or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
So once I started playing, maybe like 7th or 8th grade, I had friends that were like, man, come out to the youth group. There's a band. And I was like, okay, I didn't know anything about youth group or church. I didn't really grow up that way. But so I went out to start doing that stuff and, got kind of, I liked the guitar player was good, and he was probably in his 20s or something at the time. So I eventually got into that band and started to do the worship thing. really kind of like learning how to play with a band for the first time was that.
Yeah.
But at school, I was in jazz band like 9th through 12th grade. And that was fun, but they had to, you were required to be in symphonic band also, so they put me on like suspended cymbal or
you have to play some
bass drum.
I had to play some triangle rolls.
Yeah, like where like your part doesn't come till like 5 minutes into the tune, and you have to count. You have to count all the way up until your one little part.
107 measures of rest.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
I was in percussion in high school and everything, so I've been there.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Oh man.
But that was fun, and during that time, I think I took AP Music Theory.
Oh, cool.
During those years, which it's the same course. Like there's 1 and 2, and then like there's no more after that. I just took them over and over again.
Nice.
Which made me have to take. I was like behind on Spanish. Nobody ever told me that.
Oh wow!
Like I took too many music credits, and they were like, "You don't have Spanish your senior year." So while everyone left, I had to stay there and do Spanish class.
Well, that sounds like your counselor wasn't really on top of things.
No, she was terrible. I ended up getting truancy because I just didn't go to that last class.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, hey.
Anyways.
You made it. You're here now.
Yeah. I did make it. High school's a joke. Anyways. Stay in school, kids.
Yeah. High school may be a joke in Texas. I don't know how it is in other places.
Yeah. No, skip high school and then just go to college. That's good. Yeah. So, yeah, during that time, kind of, I guess I'm, in my teenage years at that point.
Teenage.
But I remember, growing up, kind of like figuring out who you like in music, And when I was a kid, you don't know what you like, Backstreet Boys and all that came out, and I had all those records.
There you go.
Like, No Strings Attached had the NSYNC record.
Hey, you and I both have played with an NSYNC guy.
We have full circle.
Yeah.
But I think all that adds to like, it was good music. We'll just say it.
Yeah.
It sold millions of records.
Oh yeah, it's popular for a reason.
Yeah.
So.
But then I remember like seeing like Limp Bizkit and Eminem, and then I got kind of all into the hip hop thing, and then that kind of led to Limp Bizkit, and then Limp Bizkit led to Metallica.
Yeah.
And then from there it was just like rock, and
that's awesome.
Started coming on after that. I remember I bought like, when people bought CDs.
Back in the day, right?
Yeah, I like would gather all the couch changes that I could and like go to CD Warehouse and try to buy like Megadeth records, and
that's where I would buy CDs. Yeah. CD Warehouse is one right down the road from where my parents live. So
yeah, dude, there was one. I lived in Louisville on Main Street, and there was one like right there by the apartment complex I lived in. So I would go there all the time. But yeah, and I remember, that during that shed time out in the country, I was really into Ozzy at that point.
Yeah.
And Evanescence came out that time, and I really liked them. I remember learning that whole record front to back when it came out. But yeah, there was a long time of like just learning by ear, because like that time like YouTube wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And I had like dial-up internet, so it was really like, fast forwarding and rewinding on your boombox.
There you go.
And learning everything by ear. And I think that's kind of a lost thing these days. Cause even now for me, like I don't want to spend time anymore. I just want to go to YouTube, have somebody tell me how to play it.
Yeah, I can relate.
But yeah, I really think that time of like not having a car, or not being old enough to drive, and being out in the middle of nowhere and not having anything else to do, just being able to sit in my room for hours and hours and be able to like shed away.
Nice.
I think it really helped. And because I think probably till I was 16 I did that, from like 12 to 16. And then I think around that time I was already playing country gigs and did some gigging stuff in Fort Worth, like in the stockyards and stuff like
sweet.
that.
At 16 you were gigging?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. They had to sneak me in the back door and all that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what are the laws for that? Because I don't know I don't know of any like people that are under 21 that are in our industry. So
they don't. You either just don't tell them, or you just
yeah.
But it was all good. as long as you just stay out of trouble.
Yeah, and you're obviously
not allowed to go into the bar and mingle. You have to kind of hang out in the back or whatever. But it was good because I was a kid, and like the drummer, I think he was probably 25 or 26 at the time, and he was a douche. And so that was good to like be in those situations where you can't help. You have to work with people no matter what they got to do. So that was good at learning experience. And then at the same time, kind of finding yourself trying to start a rock band and write music that you don't know how to write and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then I think, after I graduated, I kind of like hung out for a year because I was really over school.
Sure.
You know? So I'm just kind of hanging out, and I had a roommate who was a drummer, and we were doing music at the time, and he had met a guy on a mission trip that he went on, who was a great singer, great musician. His name's James Curlin. And we ended up moving to Waco together because he lived there, and we like moved in with him and his wife for like 6 months. Nice. Until we were able to get our jobs and whatever worked out.
And you guys like did like D-Nows and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a traveling group.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And we did lots of D-Nows, and we did lots of like summer college camps.
Cool.
Like, toward the end. And we played together like 3 to 5 years or something, a long time. I was like, I moved to Waco with the intentions of like, I'm only going to live here a year and get this band started, and then I'm going to move back to back to Dallas area and do my thing. But I ended up staying there, and he talked me into signing up for James actually talked me into signing up for classes at McLennan. Yeah, in Waco. So I finished the 2-year associate's degree there, which has done no good. So kids,
hey, you have a degree though.
Yeah,
you do.
It's an applied science degree.
And I didn't know this. I've known
whatever.
you for 5 years. I didn't know you had like a legit degree, so that's good.
Well, I don't know how legit it is, but it's a degree. But go get a master's degree if you're going to do anything. Yeah, I think I can teach adjunct at a community college is what I can do right now.
That's all. Well, hey, there you go.
But as far as the industry that we're in right now, you don't really need that. I don't feel like at all. As long as you're good at your instrument and you're able to learn songs and you're able to show up and
be a good person,
be a good hang. And, yeah. So anyway, it took me 2 years or whatever, like to finish that degree, which they said normally it'd take 3 years. I took like 17 hours a semester every semester, and I was working 25 hours a week, and I was doing gigs on the weekend. Nice. And I was engaged toward the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say you met your wife out there.
Yeah.
So.
And I was working at T-Mobile at the time, and I finally was able to quit T-Mobile toward the end and go full-time music with the D-Now stuff and the summer camp thing. We were gone a lot. It was like after I got engaged, I was gone like for like 21 days consecutively one time. Jeez. It was like a tour. It was kind of crazy.
Tour for Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all who knew about you on the tour is Jesus.
So did you guys just go all over Texas or?
Yeah, just mainly Texas, or maybe did some like Louisiana stuff or whatever. I don't remember, but it was a lot of camps, a lot of terrible camp food.
Oh man.
Which it was good. It was just not my thing.
Sure.
I wanted to like really get out and like pursue making a band and writing songs and all that stuff. It kind of turned into being a cover band thing after a while, and that's why I ended up saying I gotta move back and get into more cover band stuff. Yeah, well, yeah. But so that's where you and I met. Like, God, this was 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. I subbed for, you were in a band called Time Machine at the time, right? And I subbed in, and that's where I met you. And it's funny because like I did not know that this cover band, I call it cover band land. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that it existed. Yeah, and I'm like native to Fort Worth. Yeah. But I literally had no idea until I moved back from college, and I kind of just accidentally got thrown into it. But you lucked out.
It's a great industry. Yeah. The more longer that I've been in it, I just learned to appreciate it more and more.
Yeah, I do too. We're really lucky. I think most of the corporate things here that we like, the gigs that we get, I really think it has to do with like there are tons and tons of corporate headquarters here for there's like Frito-Lay, there's Toyota, Hewlett Packard, HP, whatever. Mm-hmm. All that stuff in Plano. It's all in Plano. Right. We've done tons of those gigs. So I think that's just where it comes from. There's like tons of company parties all the time, and obviously this is a huge city, and people are always getting married. Yeah. Always need a doubt. Band. Yeah.
There's a huge demand for like live music also, which I'm surprised like within the like club scene as well. Mm-hmm. Like restaurants and bars always want to have live music.
Yeah, they just don't want to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on where you play, but
yeah, for sure. I'm just kidding. I sound jaded. No, I'm not jaded, kids.
No, you're very happy.
Yeah. So around that time, graduating, so I've been in Waco this whole time, but rewind, when I was 15 or so, or maybe even 13 or 14, there was a lady who lived near me out in the country, and her daughter rode my bus, and she, got to talking to her daughter, and she's like, my stepdad plays guitar and whatever. And so I ended up like going over her house just to meet her stepdad, and his name's Rio Wallace. He's a guitar player here in town, but he's like a UNT guy from back in the day. Insane player. And I remember being like totally blown away by him. He was really killer.
Yeah.
He still is.
I haven't heard anybody from UNT that is not killer.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Then that must be a rare.
But they're like younger people.
Oh,
younger
yeah,
guys.
probably like young pups. But
yeah.
Everybody that we work with from UNT is just amazing.
Yeah. It seems like people that I meet that went to UNT, the music program, that come from like UNT music program in the 80s or like early 90s are really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that has to do with the individual. Personally, I don't know if it matters how much school you have.
I've heard that it's incredibly intense. Like the standard is very high at that school.
I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not really into the competition side of musicianship.
I'm just not
anymore.
I'm just not a big jazz guy.
Yeah, that too.
I like to play more pocket and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody there. I mean, you can only get a degree in like jazz studies if you're doing a performance degree.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it directly translates to all sorts of different styles. But yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, I got off track.
No, I got you off track.
It's all good. So I think so I met him, and then I still have a relationship with her. She was just kind of around, and as I got older, she, eventually we put a little band together when I was 16, and she ended up like helping me book gigs and like get me shows and stuff, because that's kind of like what she loved to do. And her name's Jackie Henley, super sweet lady. And anyway, she knew everybody in this scene.
Wow.
And I remember being 15 or 16, and she snuck me into Memphis one night, and she introduced me to Chi. I think I met Chi when I was like Chi Paduano when I was 15 or so.
Nice.
And so I've been friends with Chi since then, and he's actually the guy who made phone calls to get me gigs whenever I was done with school when I moved back to town.
Nice.
He got me the first gig that I got with Live 80.
It's a good band.
But funny enough, when I got snuck into Memphis when I was 16, the band playing was Time Machine.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah,
wow.
and Earl had like super sweet, like blonde spiked hair.
Nice.
And I remember he was singing "Believe in a Thing Called Love," and I was like totally blown away by the falsetto and all that. Man. And then funny, like 10 years later, in that band,
Well, yeah, it's such a it's actually a pretty small community if you really think about it. Like I played at Marty B's the other night, and I'm looking at they have like a calendar
with
scrolling.
everyone's band name on it.
And it's like I know all these bands. I know I know a lot.
Or you played with a lot of them, right?
Yeah, I have. I freelance, so I work with a lot of these different bands. But yeah, it's just the longer you're in it and the more time you've put on stage, you just start to see it's a lot smaller.
Oh yeah, I get to know everybody. I think it's funny when I look at like the member count of Performers Anonymous is 1,000 people.
Nice.
So it's like not that. To me, that's not that much for this whole scene. I feel like everyone that we know is on there.
Yeah.
And then some, I guess. But
yeah, I've had conversations with people that are like, they just think that there's, more than that in the industry, and like it's intimidating and everything like that. But I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah. Like if I was moving to town now, I might be a little intimidated. But
yeah.
I'd be more intimidated if I was moving to Nashville.
Dude, God.
Like Tony, do you know Tony Campanovo?
I had never met him, but I've heard all about him.
He just moved there. He just made his first video post, like shredding something, saying,
"Of course he did.
Hey, I'm here for your service."
Nashville.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I've come to your place. Is he? He's the Ibanez guy, right? Or is that?
He plays a lot of different guitars. He worked for Line 6 recently for a while.
Oh, that's what. Okay, I didn't know because there's one guy in town that is like I thought he's like an Ibanez rep or something.
Oh, maybe, and I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Okay, but yeah,
but he's a UNT guy too,
dude.
Campanovo.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he has a
monster.
He has a brother too that plays drums. Right?
Yes, and he's also good.
Sweet. Yeah, he's very good.
Yes.
But all that to say, man, that like I was having a conversation with the last podcast. Ben and I were talking about how when we went to college, like the standard and like the pattern that everybody was doing, all of our peers, they were all moving to LA or Nashville or New York or something.
Yeah.
And we even considered that, but we decided to come back home to the Dallas area, and things have been far beyond what we could have imagined. And it just like the more that I'm in this industry, I've come to discover there are so many killer players here.
Yeah.
You don't have to be you don't have to be in LA to be a successful musician.
Right.
So, I mean, success is a relative,
Sure.
Yeah. Relative to everybody. But
Yeah.
it's like, I work with some incredible musicians, and we both do. We're both very lucky to do that.
Oh yeah.
So
for sure. I normally feel like I'm the least talented person on stage, which is good.
I do as well.
I kind of want it to be like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it should be. You should never be the smartest guy in the room. You should never be the most talented one on the stage.
For sure. That's when you know you need to get out of that band if you're the most talented one.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to
surround yourself with people who are like killer. It's the
Yeah.
only way you're going to get better.
Yeah, man. And it's really easy to, within anything, it's really easy to get complacent,
Yeah,
So,
especially if you're making good money.
yeah. Which you can do in Dallas. You can make.
You can do that.
You can. It's possible.
It's also possible to go totally broke.
Well, during a pandemic, everybody gets a little bit of grace during that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, you and I met in 2017, I think. I subbed with Time Machine, and then you were in that band for what, 5 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
5.5 years, long time.
And when I was in it for about a year and a half. But talk to me about like your experience, because that's a tough gig. Really, really hard gig for anybody coming in, because their catalog, I remember their catalog is so large. I remember when PB was asking me to sub for him, I was like, can you send me a set list? And he literally laughed at me and he said, there are 900 songs in the catalog. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
He's like, you're just going to have to spray and pray.
He said, it's just show up with big ears, man.
That's exactly what he said. Big ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just talk to me about like your experiences there and like, your growth throughout that period.
Yeah. Kind of pre Time Machine, I was in Live 80 for a year and a half or so, and they don't have as big of a catalog, but they do these really long medleys or whatever. And I remember getting to town, and I had never. I mean, I love all these rock songs that we do. Like, I've listened to those forever since I was a kid, but I hadn't had to really learn all these tunes until I moved to town. And so I do remember sitting down, for a few weeks and learning like 3 hours of music or whatever.
Nice. And it was the same show every time, or was it like...
Not every time, because they had multiple, they call them blocks, but multiple medleys to choose from that they would just insert there every night, but they would be the same every night. They have one that's like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
There's one of the Emerald City bands that I sub with that they have a medley that's about 20 minutes long. I'm like, this
is crazy.
But like you forget that you're playing a medley, like, because the transitions are just so smooth.
Right,
it's just like, all right.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, right? There aren't any like crazy tempo changes or anything like that, so that's good.
So I remember like after shedding on that and like, kind of seeing what that's like. I mean, I wasn't really like new to like learning material. I'd been using my ear for a long time before that, but so that was really good to learn all that music and kind of just get in and had to play things that I never had to play before, and that definitely helps you get better technically as a player.
Absolutely.
So fast forward after that band, I go to join Time Machine, and obviously it's like super intimidating with the amount of songs you have to learn. But it was good because I had a little bit of a head start with I thought with the 3 hours that I had learned before. It was a little bit more than 3 hours, maybe about 6 hours of music. But in the Live 80 tunes, they only do about like the first 2 minutes of every song.
You're right.
Yeah. So I remember like some songs going to play them with Time Machine and thinking that I knew them, and then like you'd be like, oh, there's a bridge in this song.
Yes. Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Or there's a solo here I didn't even know about or whatever.
I can relate.
Yeah. So I ended up having to go learn the other half of songs, which is funny. But yeah, the same kind of thing. I didn't really treat that one the same where I would go home and shed a bunch of stuff. Maybe at first. I remember we started out doing like the live band karaoke thing. Yeah. Because that was like the main thing with Time Machine when I was joining was, yes, it's like a weekend cover gig, but the main thing you have to be balls on with is the live band karaoke.
Yeah, they did that like twice a week.
Yeah.
So.
And at the time when I joined Time Machine, they were working Tuesday through Saturday.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I did. I can't remember exactly how this went, but I remember just kind of like doing the first few gigs and making it through the gig, and then taking the karaoke list home.
Yeah.
And looking at the songs I didn't know during the night and learning all those like that. And I kind of treated it like that because I was just like, I thought it was so crazy about how many songs there were to learn. I wasn't going to go page by page, alphabetical order, and learn every single song if we don't play them every night. So
yeah, and I remember when I joined, the live band karaoke thing. Like very quickly, you started to kind of get regulars. You started to recognize who regulars were, and okay, every time this person gets up here, they're going to sing that song.
Yeah.
So I need to definitely have that one ready to go.
Exactly.
But I mean, dude, like to this day, it's the hardest gig I've ever done.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, I think I had a little bit of preparation. A little bit of preparation for that because Live 80 actually had a karaoke gig that they did before that I did a lot, but it was not like Time Machine, obviously. But it was more like I was listening to all these songs that Time Machine did in my ears, and basically like learning them on the fly at the gig, and then. When I had to go to the Time Machine gigs, like even if I hadn't spent time shedding on that song, I could like make it through the song.
Nice.
That's the other thing I want to talk about is like, even if you don't know a song, you should be able to make it through the song. Yeah.
Well, like having a good ear is extremely important.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And that's something that I try to teach my students is like, I'm going to teach you, I want to teach you as many vantage points as possible of how to make it through a performance situation. I mean, if you decide to pursue this professionally, but like, I mean, from my experience in Time Machine, like I would not have been able to survive that gig if I didn't have those charts on that iPad. I would have fallen on my face. But at the same time, I mean, let me backtrack. I probably wouldn't have fallen on my face, but it would have taken me a lot longer to become comfortable with it because, I mean, yes, I can play by ear and I can memorize.
You can make it through a song. You can plow through.
Yeah. Just 2 and 4 on snare drum. But, I think it's extremely important reading music and understanding theory is only going to make your life easier.
Sure.
But you also should be able to figure out a song by ear.
Yeah. Definitely. So. You don't want to let it hinder you.
Yeah.
Because I remember I had a roommate who's a great piano player, classically trained, that whole thing. He can read anything that you put in front of him, but as soon as you'd play a 1-4-5 blues and you ask him to do an improv, he'd like lose his mind.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so it's very important to not get sucked into like what's on the page all the time. Like you still need to listen and listen to everybody else in the band and what they're doing and find where you fall into place to serve the song.
Absolutely.
That's really what I think is most important about doing any of these gigs, whether it's a cover gig or your own gig. Like serve the song.
Yep. I completely agree, man. Yeah. So you were in Time Machine for 5 years.
Yep. Or ish.
Yeah. And
it was the best gig I've ever had.
Same.
Definitely made me grow big time, and being able to have the opportunity to play that much in front of people and all that just really can make your playing and your sense of musicality just go leaps and bounds. Because I mean, you can have rehearsals and you can shed at home all you want, but it doesn't mean anything unless you can pull it off live. And like you said, I'm sure you've heard this a million times too, like one show is worth like 20 rehearsals.
Absolutely.
Whatever,
Oh my god, yeah, there's some guy in Nashville that was like one gig equals 8 hours of practice by yourself or something like that, but I think what you said
whatever
the
ratio is,
right. What you said, it makes even more sense. But you and I both decided to leave after a while. I mean, you were there for 5 years. I was there for only like a year and a half.
You figured it out way more than before I did.
No, I just, for me personally, I was just experiencing a little bit of burnout because I had never been on the road. Like we were on the road for a year and a half.
Yes.
Straight.
Like every weekend almost.
Yeah. Well, every weekend we were out of town. We traveled a lot to like Oklahoma and Louisiana and everything. Mm-hmm. I was in a relationship, like a new relationship at the time. Yep. I wanted to be home and everything. So I just remember there was one point for me personally where it was a Tuesday night, and I just remember thinking like, I would much rather just stay at home and watch a movie than go to work. But
that's when you know you need to not be there.
Yeah, and so but it's nothing against. I have no qualms with anybody in that band.
Right.
I just was like, this is just starting to get a little too much for me, and so I decided to leave and take a break. I took a break from music for a few months, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
It impacted me pretty well, at least from like gigging. I mean, I had like a church gig. But,
right.
But I mean, what was it like for you? Like, what went through your mind of, stepping away and pursuing other things?
It's like bittersweet. Like I really didn't want to. I just wish we had more in-town gigs.
Yeah,
that's all. Which is a whole different subject that I could get on about.
Well, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about.
No, I mean, I don't want to offend other people in town.
Sure.
But, okay, I'm not going to say any names, whatever.
Yeah.
It's annoying that a band as good as Time Machine has to leave the state to make ends meet whenever there's a huge city here.
There's a big market, yeah.
There's a big market, but it's a little oversaturated, and a lot of people who are hiring these bands are either don't care or are a little uneducated on the talent level of some of these bands.
Yeah, and
I think eventually they're figuring it out.
There might also be some politics in there a little bit too.
Of course, always.
Like band owners might get buddy with the booking agent or something.
I'm sure that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to leave. It's kind of bittersweet, like I was saying. And but I have got two little kids. I've got one who will be 4 in December, and one who's I think like 24 months almost. Yeah. He's getting up there.
Nice.
And
by the way, happy Father's Day.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I know Father's Day was yesterday.
Yeah, it's all good. It was good. And being a father is awesome. But you have to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it was just kind of that. My wife is working full time, and we've got the 2 little kids, and just being out of town 3 days out of the week doesn't really work for that.
Sure.
But they still do gigs here locally, and we're all still working together. You and I still do sub gigs with them.
Yeah, I've been with them from time to time.
And we've met. Yeah, I think I've got lifelong frienps.
Absolutely,
which is awesome.
I'm starting to play golf with Earl now, so
that's good. Yeah, definitely. Then
yeah,
he might die on the golf course.
That guy, man, like when he gets something in his head of like what he wants to do something, he will stop at nothing to get good at it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Oh yeah,
he's so good.
Yes,
he's good at bass, good at golf.
Yes,
he's a good band leader.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that was really it. Just the family life thing, and on top of that, I really wanted to have more time to dedicate toward recording and writing. As you guys know, that's a passion of y'all's. So just being out of town a lot of times is not really conducive to that, unless you just bring all your gear with you, which is what I ended up started doing, is bringing some recording gear to the hotel room.
Like you and I often would, I don't want to say shack up, but we would be we'd be roommates on the road, and you would bring like outboard gear and everything, dude.
Yeah, too much.
You were obsessed, but
I should have just brought my Apollo, and that's it.
But I thought I don't know, that was inspiring. It showed me that you were like really dedicated to that.
It's just like an obsession thing. I really can't help. I can't leave it alone. Yeah, and which it's still really hard to complete things, even if you're obsessed about some things. You're all, it's almost like you don't want to let things go because you're work really hard on the detail part.
Yeah, and you get in your head.
Oh yeah,
you
totally.
get in your head, and you're like, like this. Like after a while, when I start writing something, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, and then like 10 seconds later, I'm like, dang, this sucks. Like I need to shelf this one.
Yeah, or come back later or whatever.
Right.
Oh wait, are you asking to get you more coffee? I thought you were like toasting to
Can I get some more coffee, please?
I thought you were like, yeah, I love you, dude.
I'm like raising my glass as
awesome.
Ben's walking by.
What were we talking about?
You transitioning because you wanted to do more. Like producing and songwriting and stuff.
Yeah. So just to kill the time, because there'd be times where most of the time when we're out of town doing a casino gig or something, you don't play until in the evening. And you
have the entire day.
Have the entire day of nothingness, if you wanted.
Thanks, buddy.
But I know we would stay up till like 5 a.m. for whatever reason, and wake up at like 3.
We had fun though, dude. It was, man, like, I think it's the perfect gig if you're single.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, fresh out of college like I was. Right. And but yeah, after a while, you're just like, I started to feel like I just had to move on to something else. But not, again, no hard feelings to anybody. Like, I'm extremely grateful for my experience in that band.
Yeah, me too, man.
It has shaped me. Like, I feel, because now I'm mostly freelance, I feel like I can step in on just about any gig now on like a moment's notice and be able to make it through.
Oh yeah,
you know?
I think I could step into pretty much anyone's gig unless it was like hardcore country or something.
Right.
Which I think I still could probably make it. I could make it, but
can you play? How's your chicken picking? Is it getting better?
I can fake it till I make it.
You can fake it till you make it. All right.
I definitely need to like. Brent Mason is doing $100 an hour Skype lessons right now, and I really need to jump into that because like half the country songs that Time Machine plays, he's playing guitar on.
Right.
So I'm like, can you just teach me how you played everything in the 90s, please?
And he's only charging $100. That's a good deal.
Insane
for his resume.
Oh yeah. If you guys don't know who Brent Mason is, please go check him out.
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. So
you have a project now called Feel the Void.
Yes.
And you write some really badass music.
I try.
And so when did this like come to fruition? Like, when did you start doing that?
Probably, I guess it's probably like 4 years ago now, or something like that. It's toward maybe like I've been in Time Machine like a couple years, and I had met John Ellis. He was running sound for Time Machine when I joined, and actually he quit the band like 4 weeks into my.
Oh really? Yeah. Wow.
He was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. See you later." Good riddance.
Take care now. Bye then.
And if you guys don't know out there, John Ellis is a super talented live and engineer, but he does great studio mixes as well. So I just finally got to the point where, and at this point, I didn't really know anything about mixing. I'd been recording a long time, like since I was a kid. I've been to studios and that whole thing. So that was pretty easy for me to do the recording side of things, but I had no idea about mixing or anything like that. And so I had just been kind of hounding him about, hey man, help me out with this project, help me produce this project, whatever. Because I just had, when you start playing guitar from a young age, you develop some ideas, you know, which instill like some of the riffs that are in the songs are things that I had come up with when I was like 15.
Nice.
Which is kind of funny, and it is like really satisfying when you finally can like, oh, I finally put that in a song.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, the Fill the Void thing is always like a work in progress, and I'm still trying to figure out like exactly what the direction is of all that. And and every song that I continue to try to work on is like a little bit different. So I think I'm finally starting to figure that out. And as I get older, I'm kind of figuring out, you know, different stylistic things.
You're not like limiting yourself to one genre.
Well, it's all kind of rock, I guess, but like not being afraid to do a different style of rock, I guess.
Sure.
There doesn't have to be this like, you know, super strict genre confinement,
right?
I guess.
And just to clarify, it's Feel the Void.
Feel the Void,
not fill.
Not fill the void. Yeah, feel. A little play on words there.
Yes, that's super deep. Love it.
Super deep. But my goal with the Feel the Void thing is just kind of to be more of a writing and recording project and build sort of an online presence. I'm not really about like trying to put anything together live at the moment.
Yeah.
If there were ever like a big enough buzz online that, or if I somehow did like a online poll and figured out that I could get people to a show, you know, then I might think about putting like a band together and getting rehearsals together and like do it all. But
yeah, you know, like what you just said reminds me of the whole, like before I got into cover bands, I thought like I was going to be in a rock band that toured.
Me too.
Got on the Warped Tour and everything like that, and you know, slept in a 18-passenger van and like just traveled all over the place.
Yeah. I didn't want it bad enough.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's like it's after being in, you know, making money and paying your bills with doing cover gigs, it's really hard to like kind of go back to that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I completely understand people that don't want to go through that grind.
Oh yeah,
you know,
I mean,
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I've been married and
sure.
The kids now, like you just, unless your other half is okay with that or they're gonna go with you or something, that just it's not conducive.
Yeah, in most situations, it's just like, I don't know. It's not in the stars for me, I don't think, anymore.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I'm just happy to be playing drums for a living, you know?
Yeah, and the same thing for me. I'm happy to be playing music for a living. I do have a little bit of regret. Like, obviously, I don't regret my family or my wife or my kids or anything, but I there's always like that fear of failing,
Sure.
And I do kind of have that regret of like not going to California or not going to Berkeley or any of those places, and is mostly just worried about being in debt my whole life. But at the same time, I think this side of the card has worked out pretty good.
Well, I think that Feel the Void or any kind of creative outlet is a perfect way to kind of combat that. It's like, I think that you can make anything happen from anywhere in the country.
Oh, for sure.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the hotspot music scene.
Right.
You can do it. You can do it from anywhere.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, especially with the internet and able to collaborate with people online and all that kind of type of thing.
Social media, like Instagram, is a huge way to market yourself and everything. So
yes, sir. But yeah, I am really excited about like new Fill the Void tunes that I've been working on coming out, and just being able to work, and then just living here longer, doing more gigs and meeting more musicians. You like meet people who are like, man, that guy's a great player, or whoever, or girl, whoever. Mm-hmm. I'd like to collaborate with them, and so like that's kind of a ongoing thing, is trying to do collaborations with people.
Totally.
That was another point of the Fill the Void, is like there's like you're saying, there's so many good musicians here in town. I feel like there should be some creative outlet that you can show off everyone's talent in. Yeah, that's not a cover situation.
Exactly.
Because I mean, obviously, being a musician, feeling underappreciated, I feel like other people feel underappreciated. So
sure, I
kind of want to help do my part to like feature people who I think are killer.
Absolutely. And that's, this podcast is another outlet for me to like just have people like you kind of tell your story. Mm-hmm. And like there's so many just badass people in this industry.
Right.
So are you starting to do like mixes for people? Are you starting to are you starting to like record bands and everything now?
I would like to record more full bands. It's more mixing at this point. But yeah, I got into mixing more like after we'd been doing Fill the Void for a while, and John Ellis, he works all the time. He's super talented, so he's busy,
Yeah.
And so I got to that point, and I think a lot of people do. They get to that point where you don't want to depend on anyone else.
Yeah.
Because it was like me calling him, like needing stuff from him, and it's like he's unavailable or whatever. So I was like, you know what? I need to like dig in and learn some of this mixing stuff or all that. So that's what kind of began my journey. That was around 2015 or so. Because I remember I've been hitting it hard since then, just basically putting myself through like online mixing courses, like college courses, basically for the last 5 years. Which is funny that you do all that work and you don't really actually start getting good until you start mixing songs.
Totally.
It doesn't matter how much research you do and all that kind of stuff.
You have to get hands-on training.
Right. But I love it. It's like I almost like it better than guitar these days. Which is kind of sad. It's like at home, and that's another terrible thing about this pandemic, is I got all my playtime at gigs.
Yeah.
And now we're not gigging as much, so it's like I don't play as much at home. But like I said, there's room to have other passions other than just your instrument that you play.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's kind of like that for me for the mixing thing. I love it because it's kind of like one of those things that's like instant gratification. Yeah. Kind of like an instrument. The more you work on it, the more time you spend on it, hopefully the better you get.
It's definitely an instrument.
Yeah. I
agree with you.
Yeah. And I like that, you get that instant gratification whenever you're like, oh, that's it, or whatever. And there's also something cool about like, if you're recording somebody else's project and you like hit the nail on the head and you do something great for the other person, and they like I've had the experience where somebody had cried after they heard their mix.
Wow.
Or they teared up or whatever because they were like, I never heard it. And this is how I hear it in my head or whatever.
That's so cool.
And that's really cool that I hadn't really experienced before. And I really dig that, like helping bring somebody else's vision out,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been rewarding.
Good, man. Yeah. So like, what's the name of your studio?
I've just been going by Jarrod Glasby Music.
Okay.
I have got a website, www.jarrodglasbymusic.com.
Jarrod is
.com.
Yeah. Jarrod.
Yes. Yeah, it's not really like a studio's at this point because I don't really have a facility.
Sure.
Besides my mix room.
Well, I've been to your home setup and it's awesome.
Oh, so thank you, sir.
Have a great setup. So I want to go back to what you were saying about how like during the pandemic you have like playing gigs is your way to play.
Right.
So are you kind of like, I would assume you're kind of like me where you don't really recreationally practice anymore?
I'm trying to now.
You are now?
Because I noticed when I started doing a couple gigs coming back from this having no gigs, super like physically rusty.
Sure. Yeah.
So I've been trying to like get back into like at least like 10 minutes or 15 minutes just doing like running through scales and running through like physical warm-up stuff, and
that's good.
Trying to get right hand and left hand like synchronized and all that kind of stuff.
I wonder if that's how most professional musicians are. Like whenever you do it for a living, I couldn't imagine people just like practicing 10 hours a day still. I mean, I'm sure there are those types of people, and that's why they're better than we are. But
yeah, like we're talking about Tony Campanovo. Like that guy plays circles around me and a lot of people in town, and it's because he spends so much time with it.
Yeah,
it's the 1,000
good on
hour
them.
rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I want to do that, but as I've gotten older, my like attention span just can't. I can't sit there for that long.
I'm just the type of person that loves to be on stage with other people.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to, I spent countless hours when I was in college, like in the practice room by myself, and that got really lonely.
Yeah.
And then once you get exposed to like making music and creating with other people, it's hard to kind of isolate yourself again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't really like practicing things for not a purpose.
Sure.
I want to be practicing something that I have to learn for a gig or I have to learn for whatever, because there's more motivation not to fall on your face in front of people. Because
that's never good.
Yeah, and which has definitely happened.
It's happened to me too. Oh my God.
Yeah, like being like playing a gig at Windstar and there's like hundreds of people out there and like having to do like the solo from
Sweet Child of Mine?
No, whatever. Like what's that Eagles tune?
I should know this. Hotel California.
Yeah, Hotel California. Like if you fall on your face in Hotel California, that's a song that people know and love, and people who aren't musicians can like sing you that solo.
Yes.
So
and they'll come up and they'll come up and let you know, like, hey man, you didn't play that like the record.
It only took me one time of like flubbing that to say I'm gonna go shed that hardcore and not screw up again.
The most embarrassing story, or the most embarrassed I've ever felt on a gig was we were playing at the Maverick with Time Machine. I'm pretty sure you were there.
Super packed house, I'm sure.
And I was fresh into the band. I don't even think I'd made it a month yet. And they called Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar.
You got to know that one too.
I had never played that song before.
Yeah.
Never heard it, but I was sight reading it on the chart. And when it got to the chorus, it didn't specify that it was halftime.
Oh, brutal.
So I played it full time during the chorus, and I remember like I was my eyes were just glued to the chart because I was like, I don't know the song. I have to, And I remember hearing Earl scream at me. He goes, Caleb, it's halftime.
I want to hear how that feels because I don't remember that.
You're a heartbreaker. Well, it does.
It sounds like double time. It sounds like you're playing a double time, right?
I was, yeah. So eventually it does get double time, but I'm talking like when the first couple choruses, it goes to halftime.
Right. No, that's what I mean. It sounds like double time when you're supposed to be playing halftime in the chorus, right?
Yes. And so I felt like the biggest ass ever, and I thought I was going to get fired that night. I was like, "There's no way they're going to want me back on." But anyway,
it's a good thing nobody cares about that song. I'm joking.
Well, yeah, to some extent, but it was also good that there was hardly anybody there. But still, it's kind of embarrassing. Yeah,
but that's what we're saying. It doesn't matter how many people are there. It only takes you being embarrassed in front of your bandmates.
Oh yeah,
for you, that's the embarrassing thing. You're like people because your bandmates are like, you should know this dude.
Yeah, it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah. But normally everyone's got a good sense of humor if you're in the right band, and you can kind of laugh that stuff off and just get it the next time.
And I used to think that when you're like, if you're a professional musician, that you don't ever make mistakes on stage.
Yeah.
But that's completely false.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done one gig where no one has made a mistake.
Yeah, you're human. There's just no way around it.
And especially with like how many like how many songs that we all are responsible for knowing and playing per night.
Yeah, give me a break.
And like right, and you have a sub singer that comes in that is used to singing a song in a different key, and it's hard for them to hear it in another one.
Singers don't know how to count and stuff like that.
Well, dude, I have learned how to like spoon feed entrances to singers. It's like, here you go. This is where you start singing.
Yeah.
So
that's part of your job anyway.
It is.
Set up sections.
Absolutely. That's the way that I look at it. And
because I've played with a drummer, obviously not going to name any names, but who didn't set up any sections.
Wow.
Ever.
That's okay.
And for me, I know it should be my responsibility to know where I am and like, counting the bars and whatever.
Yeah.
But it really helps to play with a drummer who does that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it lets everyone in the band feel where you're going.
Totally.
And it's more of like a feel thing instead of like, oh, I'm counting these bars to the next section or whatever,
Yeah, and that's what I explain to my students is drum fills. I mean, yeah, you can play some cool stuff every once in a while, but like they are literally designed to communicate to the listener
that there's a transition happening.
To the listener and the other musicians that we are going to end this section and transition into this one.
Right.
So that's personally how I look at it, and that's what I live by.
I call it like hype. Sort of like if you're all that, like the drums and everything else in the instrumentation in a song all add up, because there's probably something else that's hinting at that transition other than the drums.
Yeah.
So I kind of call that like there's the hype up point where you're hey, we're transitioning here.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's really good. So like that's a great way to transition into the next thing I was going to talk to you about is like, what are your like expectations for drummers like that are coming in on a gig that you've never played with before? What are you expecting of them?
Well, it doesn't matter how good you are, no matter what what instrument you play. If you don't know the song, you don't know the song.
Yeah.
That being said, if you don't know the song, you should be able to pick your way through it.
True.
Even if you're a drummer never doing the gig before, as long as you're able to take cues from somebody or whatever. But my main expectation would be just to be able to play with a click, play in time.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, those setting up sections and all those type of things. I don't really feel like they have ton of other responsibility other than just nailing it.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. And just not being a douche.
Oh well, yeah, that too.
That's kind of common sense, but
I mean, drummers seem to be the most jaded musicians that I meet. Just maybe because they have the most gear to haul around, they're just mad.
I have combated that I play a really small drum set.
Yes,
I play a little jazz kit. Little 18-inch bass drum.
I
call it the little kit that could.
Yeah, hey, I like that.
And well, part
is it blue?
Do what?
Is it blue?
Is it blue?
Is it a blue kit?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a white marine pearl finish that
beautiful
John Zug at Dallas Drum did for me.
He does great work.
He does an incredible job.
Go check him out.
And he's awesome. DallasDrum.com, I think, is his website.
Go get your edges beveled.
Edges beveled. Yes, do indeed do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like really mostly because it just fits in my car easier. The car, I drive a little Ford Focus right now.
You got to be efficient.
But at one time I was freelancing and playing like 5 gigs a week. Mm-hmm. And the last thing that I want to do is haul around this heavy ass drum set.
Yeah, eventually you want to pay like a kid like $25 to set up your set.
I
at the next
legitimately
gig.
thought about that. I was like, if I ever get to a point where I can afford it, I'm going to hire like a crew to set up my gear for me. Maybe one day, but right now I'm still
sure you will.
Paying my dues.
That's I heard Rich Redmond talk about that when he finally got going in Nashville doing his studio gigs. If he had 3 gigs in one day, he'd have somebody setting up another drum kit at the studio that he's got to be at.
Well, they have like legit cartridge companies.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you have any like drummer horror stories on a gig? Obviously, no names need to be said, but
yeah. I don't remember specifically like a train wreck or anything, but it comes down to like technique stuff, I guess. Which some of this stuff people who aren't musicians may not even notice this stuff, but like drummers who have like that they don't have any like bounce back. I don't know what you call this technically.
Rebound is what we call it.
Rebound, like when they hit the snare drum, they'll just hit it and stop. They'll do the same thing with the kick drum. And that's pretty terrible. Because obviously nothing can ring.
Whenever you do that, like on the bass drum, can you hear the buzz that the beater is making as it hits the?
Oh, in the mix,
head?
I don't think I can, but I can hear that there's a abrupt, sustained stop.
There's definitely a different sound for sure.
Another thing, drummers, please practice your double stroke rolls. Please. I played with a drummer one time who could not do that. He can play a beat and do all these other things that don't matter, but he can't play a roll. He can't and
it's very important.
That is a main. I was watching a Thomas Lang video the other day just to nerd out over drum videos sometimes.
What a great guy to nerd out over.
Yeah. And he's doing sessions out of his house too. Yeah. Pretty cool.
He's awesome.
But he was talking about just hi-hat work or anything on the drum, but just the importance of the double stroke roll stuff and being able to implement on different pieces of the kit. Just to create fills or doing hi-hat work or whatever. It sounds a lot less clunky.
Sure.
It's more sounds more sophisticated to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that being said, you have to be a play in time too of all that.
Yeah. Could you imagine somebody playing the snare drum part to Jumper that didn't know how to play double stroke rolls?
It'd be brutal.
Well, hang on. Now that I think about it, it might be a single stroke roll. But anyway, I do a lot of gigs or sessions where they're like, "Can you give me some kind of military snare drum cadence thing during this part?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I automatically go back to my drumline days of practicing those flam drags and shit. Yeah. And I could not imagine not knowing rudiments. That's something I'm really stressing on my students now is this is going to benefit your life in so many ways. Number one, it's going to make your hands stronger. Number two, it's going to give you a lot cooler things to say, and you have more tools in your toolbox. That you can whip out whenever you need to.
Definitely.
But I don't think there's one gig that I do where I don't use some kind of rudiment. So
another thing for drummers, need to learn how to tune their drums. Yes. Extremely important.
Yeah, man. That's
like me showing up to a gig and not knowing how to tune my guitar. Yes.
I would argue that it might be a little more difficult for drummers just because there's a lot more physics that are involved with the relationship between the tension on the top head versus the bottom head.
Yes.
But I agree with you, and that's something that I personally need to do because I need to just have good sounding gear all the time. But I get lazy, and I'm just it sounds fine. Whatever. Yeah. They'll EQ it, no big deal. Yeah. But that's.
I mean, you get in lazy mode sometimes, and the same thing with guitar. It's I really need to change my strings. These feel like rubber bands or whatever. Whatever. If I were a drummer, whatever I had to do, if I had to pay somebody or do some classes on how to drum tune or whatever, I would really try to figure out or. I don't know. I hear drummers hate on drum dials. They kind of hate on them, but I'd figure out something to get them in the ballpark.
I found this device the other day I think it's called the True Tuner.
Oh, really?
And what it is it's a pretty large diameter device that has a little handle in it, but you put it on top of your drum and it has drum keys on each of where the lugs are.
Oh yeah.
And so you take the handle and you twist it around like this and it tensions the
all
head.
At the same time?
Yes, at the same time, all in perfect cursive.
That's what's up. That's awesome.
But yeah, I've looked into that, but it looks ridiculous, but I'm sure, everything that I've seen.
Is it fast?
Yeah. Well, I think it was designed mostly to get drum heads off quickly.
Oh, I see.
So that way, I've seen guys whip out power tools and stuff like that.
Sure.
Which works.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be a good way to just literally set it on and just within 3 rotations, it comes off.
Especially if you break a drum head during a gig or something.
Dude, my biggest fear is busting through a bass drum head.
Oh, I was on a gig recently that happened to
really?
The drummer. Yeah.
Oh, did he flip it around? How did he battle that?
He ended up rotating the kick drum to where the beater was just on a different part of the head, still on the broken side.
Yeah,
but it wasn't terrible. But it was we're 3 songs in and it broke.
Oh, it was a 3-hour gig.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's the worst. Yeah. I'm sure he was pissed the whole night.
Yeah, and he didn't have an extra or anything, of course. Oh yeah, bring extras to gigs.
Yes, no doubt, dude. And yeah, change your drum heads frequently.
That's also another thing. Yes, and don't have a heavy foot like that. Maybe I don't know how hard he's kicking, but
yeah, I think it's definitely like what you were talking about, how they press the beater into the head. That definitely
he could have been doing that. This is my first time to play with this drummer, so I didn't really know a ton about his playing.
It definitely puts a lot more stress on the head over time, so I could see that happening. But I think I've broken maybe 1 or 2 bass drum heads in my entire career.
Oh, that's good.
But anyway.
Wow, this is embarrassing.
I'm more concerned with breaking like snare drum heads.
Yeah,
that would be
fun.
really bad.
Yeah.
There was one situation where somebody on Facebook needed an extra snare drum at Memphis because they broke their drum head.
Oh, nice.
And so I was headed home from a gig, and I went up and gave him my snare drum to play for the rest of the gig. But like,
that's just sweet of you.
Well, I just think that that's what we all should do for each other in this industry. I mean, we're all in the same boat, and I would want somebody to do that for me personally.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if guitarists have like an equivalent.
I would loan somebody my guitar for a gig. I would stay there until they're done.
I actually did that, but I mean, also because I just wanted to hang out and see them play. Yeah. But I did do a gig recently where, I won't say his name, but his amp was acting up and it was like humming a lot. So in that situation, I think he probably should have like said, "Hey, does anybody have like a little combo amp that I can just use?"
What's an amp?
Oh yeah, you play Axe Effects and all that.
I do.
So, which I personally, I mean, some of the guitar tones that you've gotten are unbelievable.
Oh, thanks, man.
Especially on your mixes. Like every time you're like, "Hey, bro, listen to this mix," you're like, the guitar tone is just on point.
You don't have to do anything anymore. It sounds so good out of the box.
Well, I would have guessed that you have really. You were like putting in a lot of effort.
I have figured out some things about EQ with guitar tone for sure over the years.
That's good, man. Okay, let's talk about the. I kind of want to get into like you're doing like live sound now and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
So you kind of do everything. So you're a guitar player. You're also a live sound engineer, which if I'm not mistaken, you're kind of getting into that now, right?
Yes.
You also have your own studio where you mix and produce, and you actually are a songwriter too.
Yes, sir.
What do you not do?
I don't cook that great, I guess.
Dude, I don't. Yeah, I can relate.
No, I've just kind of figured out getting older that you can't just play your one instrument. Yeah. You can't just do one thing. Otherwise, you're just going to be broke.
Well, it's always good to have other skill sets in your back pocket.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it might be better. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. There's things that you could do that might benefit you more financially. Like learning different trades. Other than music skills. Yeah. But for me, I've hated everything else that I've tried to do or been forced to do because of my situation or whatever. And so I just decided to leap into things that I'm passionate about. Yeah. And whether it's guitar or mixing or whatever, and just try to get good at a few different things. Yeah. So you might be able to fill some holes in your schedule if you're not playing guitar or not playing drums. With something else that is equally fulfilling for yourself.
That was gonna be my next question. Is if running sound is
for sure. I like the studio mixing at home because there's not as much pressure on you. Yeah. But the live I do like live too. It's really fun to be able to be in control of like a big PA, and especially if you're running sound for a band who's really talented. That's really cool. Yeah. It's really hard to mix bands who aren't good.
Totally. Have you so far in your, because like you defy the stereotype, and there are a lot of great sound guys in town, but I have worked with some guys that are just straight up pricks, and they're kind of jaded. You said that drummers are pretty jaded. I would argue that
sound guys are even more jaded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was gonna ask if there's anybody that, have you had an experience where someone was just like being difficult?
Oh, like a musician to me?
Yeah, to you. They're like complaining about something or.
They're always complaining, but it's not like a out to get you type thing. It's just the nature of. I have kind of figured out that musicians are inherently whiny. Yes. Because I've had like one gig I had to do a few months ago, a situation where, I'm part of the setup crew and set up all the PA and get it all going and everything, and then like a technical issue happens where I had to start the whole scene that I had worked on over. Oh. And the band had went to the wrong venue, and so they were late. And so whenever this happened, the band showed up at the exact time that I had to start the whole scene over.
Oh, Lord.
So we're supposed to be sound checking, and everyone's asking where their ears are. Everyone's asking, oh, I can't hear my instrument, all this stuff, and you're trying to figure it all out in real time,
Yeah.
And that's frustrating whenever there's technical stuff that happens, but it just happens,
Well, in that situation, I think it would require you to communicate calmly.
Sure, yeah, you got to let them, you have to make the musician feel like everything's okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, and just don't let them get in their head about anything.
For sure.
Because it definitely is going to affect their performance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. I did a gig one time. I'll never forget this. This guy that was running, I was just subbing for this band, and the sound guy was like, "Where's your hi-hat mic?" I was like, "I'm sorry?" He goes, "I can't mix a band without a hi-hat mic." Like, legitimately said that to me. And I mean, I want your opinion on that. Is that guy just totally like retarded?
Yes.
Or okay, because I was thinking, how is that possible? The hi-hat's one of the loudest cymbals on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it'd be cool to have everything.
Yes,
mic'd
I
up.
agree with that.
But at the same time, most of the rooms that we play are too small to worry about that.
Yeah. Especially, and the stage is too small too. So
yes, yeah. I mean, like that should be kind of secondary. I mean, you get so much bleed from the snare drum anyway if you're not gating it.
But luckily, I think that was like the last like negative sound guy encounter that I've had.
Yeah,
and that was like 4 years ago.
That's the other thing. Being a musician and then moving to the sound guy side of things, you kind of learn like, hey, I shouldn't be a douche to people.
Yeah, because you've been on the other side of the glass.
Right,
You've been on the stage.
Yeah.
So,
and that's really one of the things you kind of like have to know your place. Like you're at that point, you're there to serve the musicians.
Yeah.
And if you got to swallow some pride or hold your tongue or whatever, you probably should do that if you want to keep working.
So what's, I know that gigs are slowly creeping back in.
Yes, finally.
Are you doing more sound stuff? Are you doing more guitar stuff, or what's your...
More sound stuff at the moment. So yeah, Time Machine has actually started to pick up some more privates lately, and they're kind of getting back at it, and so it's kind of opened up for me to kind of run sound for them.
Good.
Which is nice. And it might go like if Sam, the current guitar player for Time Machine, if he can't make it to one of those gigs, I usually end up playing guitar for it, and they find somebody else to run sound,
cool.
or whatever. So it's kind of been working out. I'm just trying to be able to fill my schedule with both aspects.
And it, that situation just, encourages me to continue to maintain relationships with people.
Sure.
Because, we could have, we didn't do anything wrong or anything, but like I hear that people leave bands on horrible terms, and it's like burning a bridge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's never a good idea.
No, because like we were saying before, the circle is so small. If you burn any amount of bridges, you won't be able to get news will travel fast if you're being away.
Absolutely. And people don't want to work with difficult people or jerks or anything like that.
No matter how talented you are.
Yes.
And I'll go ahead and just be honest with this. Like, I think I am an extremely decent player, but
extremely decent.
Yeah, but the main reason why I've been able to hold a job in a band and everything, I think has to do with the hang and your personality and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which is a little bit of an ego hurt to me. I want people to hire me because like they think I'm really good and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's more about showing up on time most of the time.
Yeah,
not doing no call no shows. Communicating. Just being a good team player.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And and another thing, you're very reliable.
Right, you have to be reliable.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's that's what I try to be, and I think that's why people hire me, because like people know me as the pocket guy. I don't play chops. I don't play anything crazy.
Yeah, but you can.
I can. But I don't.
It's when and where, people.
Yeah,
it's when and where.
But I just like when you listen to these pop records or country records or anything, there are no 30-second note triplet.
No.
Fills or anything like that. It's all like Pat Boone, Debbie Boones and stuff.
Yes.
And I have no problem doing that. I thoroughly enjoy it. But all that to say that like I think that's why people call me, is because they know when they hire me, you're going to get X.
Sure.
And it's going to be a positive experience, and
right.
I'm going to learn your material and do a good job.
That's the other thing. They know they're going to get X. So like be consistent.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that goes for every musician or anybody in
Yeah,
like
doesn't matter what you play.
industry.
And every gig, I mean, even though it might be like a gig that doesn't pay very much, or it's, you know, not your ideal gig, you know, treat it like it might be the last one that you play.
Yeah. I saw a pretty unsettling post from one of my friends, actually, on social media the other day. He posted a video of him playing at a gig, and he was saying, I don't know this song. I'm trying to learn it by ear. And he said in the description that the reason I don't know this song is because they asked me at the last minute the night before to learn it. And he said, if you ever do that, I'm not going to learn your song.
Oh.
Like, he flat out said that. And he's like, I value my time, and everything like that. And I'm not going to take the time to shed something if you send it to me 8 hours before we have to play it or something like that, which...
I get the side of the coin. I understand the point.
I do.
There's a fine line.
I do, but at the same time, I don't ever want to have a question mark over my head when I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
And you can hear it too.
Yeah. Like, I see his side of things, but at the same time, you're also doing yourself a disservice, because whoever is in the audience seeing you, whether it be a musician or somebody who has money who wants to hire the band, that, you know, like a potential future gig.
Yeah.
You might be ruining that for yourself because of your pride.
Totally. Well, if I were in that situation, and if that really bothered me, I mean, I have people do that all the time, and I'm like, fine, I'll learn it, whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
But if it really did bother me, I would learn the song, and I would perform it and do my job. And then afterward, I would go talk to the band leader and be like, listen, I really don't appreciate you sending this like moments before.
Right.
I normally like to have a couple days to prepare if possible.
Right.
I mean, obviously you don't have to be a jerk about it, but
yeah, just tell them.
Yeah, but I don't think like just flat out saying, I won't learn this song if you send it to me within 24 hours notice or something. I think that's a little crazy, but
yeah,
to each their own.
mean, if you don't have time, you don't have time, and I get that. Like, if your schedule doesn't permit it, but just blatantly not learning something just because you think they sent it to you too late.
That's why I make charts, so that I just listen to the song, I make my notes, and I have that information saved for anytime I need to play that song. And I don't like, before I used to try to memorize everything, and I quickly figured out that is not.
I try to do that.
Well, that's good. I mean, I really think that's great. I probably should do that. But like when I was first getting started, and I was learning, at the time I was learning 2 different bands' entire catalogs. I had nothing else to do. You know, I was fresh out of college, and so my day job for like literally 8 to 12 hours a day, I was listening to the music, studying it. I even did some physical practice over it too. But if you're freelancing, it's really hard to devote that much time.
Yeah, for sure.
Memorizing every band in town's catalog. So
yeah, there's no way.
If you can come up with a system like reading charts, and like come up with a system for yourself to where you have the information stored away in a folder and everything. Yeah. Then you have it forever, and over time you start to memorize things the more you play it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's nice to just listen to the song 2 or 3 times and you have it.
Yeah.
And then rely on the moment to kind of dictate the vibe.
Sure.
And the feel.
Yeah.
You are listening to how the bass player's playing, the guitar player's playing. So
you ever feel like it's harder to, it's like the songs that are more difficult to play, you don't really need to chart because you spend more time shedding those. But like the songs that are simple, you're like, how does this go?
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine charting Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to learn it, right?
Yeah, it's like one of those songs that, I mean, I'm not going to write out all those like fills that is it Neil Peart or Peart?
I've always said Peart, but
okay, I've said Peart, but I've heard people say Peart.
Let's look up the pronunciation on Wikipedia. The pronunciation.
But yeah, I mean, well, I've been listening to that song since I was a kid. Yeah. In my mom's car growing up, it was Rush Moving Pictures.
That's right.
All the time.
So good.
But yeah, all that to say, I couldn't imagine charting that song. Or
you can just buy that chart now.
Yeah.
I'm sure he notated it.
Yeah, or somebody took the time to transcribe it. And you can probably find it on there. Spend like $5. But Jarrod, thank you, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate
the time.
Yeah. So where can we go to find your stuff?
if you're interested in the recording or mixing stuff, it'll be www.jarrodglasbymusic.com. And if you want to check out any of the Fill the Void stuff, there's the www.feelthevoidmusic.com, and also it's on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iHeart Radio.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
Whatever. Everything.
Nice. So just to clarify so people know how to spell your name, Jarrod is Jarrod.
Yes.
And Glasby is Glasby.
Yes. But I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Dude, thank you for being on the show, and you're one of my best friends, so I appreciate it.
You too, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Until next time.
All right, man.
All right.